Whoa, no way! That's what you're gonna be sounding like when you hear some of these today. Each of these for myself had me do a double take whenever I heard about them the first time, and I feel that you will think the same way. So strap in, boys, this is not one that you will be soon to forget. Lego. Hi, my name is Faith Thornack. I am the video coordinator for Wiser Living, and today we're gonna be talking about shocking facts about Springfield, Missouri. And if you want to keep up to date with all things Springfield, be sure to join the Experience Springfield group to see more about all the things in our city, whether it be restaurants, activities, events, etc., etc. This allows you to get more involved with the community and everything that's going on, and we want to interact with you. Let's begin with some of the ones that if you're not from Springfield, you probably won't know about. You'll need to know that Springfield is the birthplace of Route 66, which is a road that stretched all the way from California to Chicago. Believe me, if you come here, you'll see there's a lot of decor and many restaurants. It's kind of all centered around this. Along with that, we actually started the first drive-thru in America just a year before In-N-Out. Take that, In-N-Out. Just kidding, I love In-N-Out. The original restaurant, called Red's Hamburg, closed in 1894, but they reopened it on Sunshine Road in 2019. I've actually been there, it's a pretty sweet place to go. I like the music and the letterboard and the old-timey feel, it's great. Springfield is also the place where we had the first diverging diamond. If you don't know what it is, it's a type of intersection that's supposed to be better for the efficient flow of traffic, and it started here in Springfield. We have them all over the city. Just don't freak out whenever you actually go to the other side of the road. It's all according to plan, I promise. If you come here, you will encounter them. Just a heads up, it's gonna happen. Do you know that Springfield has the record for America's wildest weather? We have a comparable wind velocity to Chicago, you know, the Windy City, and we have an exceptional humidity, especially in the late summer. It's terrible. What's crazy about this place is that on one day in May, it could be 80 degrees, and then the next day it's freezing rain and 2 inches of snow pops up. The crazy amount of weather actually produces quite a few tornadoes in the area. It's really not uncommon to have some crazy, crazy weather, and honestly, I kind of love it. What are we gonna have today, boys? Nobody knows. Let's be real, weather forecasters have it bad here. Here in Springfield history, we have something called the Great Cobra Scare of 1953. No, that's actually a real thing in the city's history, and when I first heard it, I went around telling people because I actually couldn't believe that this was a thing. Yes, this was a big deal back in the day when they started discovering poisonous cobras, which are not native to Springfield, crawling around the city. Many of the kids had to stay indoors, and the men gathered up to hunt down these little critters. This was all a big mystery until 35 years later in 1988 when a man by the name of Carl Barnett came forward to say it had been him when he was 14 years old. He had let the snakes go because he was angry at the pet shop owner who didn't allow him to return the dead fish he had purchased the day before. He said he had no idea that they were cobras or he wouldn't have set them loose. I'd say, because those are pretty scary. For me, I'd like to know why the pet shop owner didn't come forward, but that's just me because he was the adult in the situation. Bunch of his snakes go missing. He's like, oh well, wasn't me. One of my favorite things is the story of the duel on the square. Yet back in 1865, just as the Civil War ended, Wild Bill Hickok and Davis Tutt had the showdown at the Center Square in Springfield. This was well known as one of the first Wild West showdowns in history, and it was all very well documented, which made it special. You can see the remnants today on the square if you look for it. They have these plaques for where they once stood. It's possible that their feud began way before this event, either over a woman or being on either side of the Civil War, but what really set these events into motion was a gambling debt that Wild Bill owed Tutt. They disagreed about the amount, and Tutt ended up grabbing Wild Bill's pocket watch as collateral. Things got more heated as Wild Bill told Tutt not to wear his pocket watch around town. Should have listened. And after showing up in the square, they had their confrontation and the guns went off almost simultaneously. Wild Bill was unharmed, but Tutt fell onto the courthouse steps and said, "Boys, I've been killed." Or at least, that's what I imagine it sounded like. Afterwards, Bill Hickok ended up making quite the name for himself, and he became one of the most legendary men of the West. Spurned by a whole bunch of stories with his name, they romanticized him and turned him into this legendary character. It's pretty cool history, I would say. Speaking of other fascinating history, Springfield once had the third largest broadcast station in the United States. I know, where did this come from? I was confused too. Ozark Jubilee was a live, nationally broadcast country western variety show that premiered at Duel Theater in downtown from 1955 to 1960. This was once intended to make Springfield the center of country music, kind of like Nashville today is. At one point, it had 25 million viewers a week to their network television program and had singers like Patsy Cline, Hank Williams, Brenda Lee, Chet Atkins, Bob Willis, or Johnny Cash make an appearance. But because of the rise of rock music at the time, the popularity faded and the show eventually ended. But because of its influence at the time, it brought the eventual rise of Branson as a country music tourist hub and Silver Dollar City. Ozark Jubilee has become largely forgotten in country music's history. But think about how different this place would be if that actually happened. Dang. One of the things that we wanted to mention is some of the tragic crime cases that have happened on Springfield soil. The Springfield Three is a case where 3 women went spontaneously missing out of their homes. Stacy McCall, her friend Suzanne or Susie Streeter, and Susie's mother, Cheryl Levitt, went missing from Levitt's home. What was strange is that their personal belongings, their cars, their purses, they were all left behind, and there were no signs of a struggle. There are many theories that surround all of these events. This cold case definitely gives you the chills. It definitely gives me the chills. One other famous case now is that of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, who killed her mother. Gypsy pleaded guilty to second-degree murder for having her boyfriend commit the acts on her mom. What's strange about this case is that Gypsy Rose, as a child, was forced to live in a wheelchair by her mom and to pretend to have all these different illnesses. Many different procedures were performed on her that she did not need. She actually would have been healthy otherwise. This is another very sad case that marks Springfield history, and I have never met these women, but I do know multiple people that met them, that knew them, that talked to them. It's very strange indeed. One thing that I find incredibly shocking about Springfield is the high crime rate that is here. It's estimated that Springfield has more than 138% more crime to cities of a similar size, and that is a pretty serious number. Now, a lot of this crime is dealing with property crime, which is mostly theft, so while a lot of these violent crimes don't take place as often, you still need to keep in mind that there's a lot of theft, so lock your doors, people. Listen, stop putting things in your car that are valuable. Don't do it. Don't put it in your car, okay? Also, it's no question that this is the meth capital of the world, which is the cause, I'm sure, for a lot of the crime that happens here. Addiction, it's a real problem. Still, with that in mind, I still think that Springfield is one of the best places to live. Just be safe, okay? Get a security system, lock up, and, be aware when you go out. You're fine. But because we're helping you out, we also have a video for that, so if you want to check it out, it's right up here. And one last thing I want to talk about is Pythian Castle, because we do have a castle here in Springfield, of course we do. This is because this landmark is so unique, unlike any other place I've even heard about. This place was built back in 1913 by the Knights of Pythias, which is a real thing, and was built to house their orphans and their widows. It was bought by the military, and during World War II, many of these facilities turned into a makeshift hospital for soldiers. There's even tales of many prisoners of war that were held down in the basement, or as some say, the dungeon, because it's a castle, right? Believe it or not, they have this place listed as a certified haunted castle. I don't know how you do something like that, go around certifying things are haunted, but anyway, I do know that they've had a few ghost hunters, including those from Ghost Adventures, so if you know who they are and you're into that, you should go check out the one on Pythian Castle. Today you can go and visit this castle. They have plenty of history tours, of course ghost tours, escape rooms, and dinner theaters for plenty of people to enjoy. There's something that you like out there. They even have princess balls, which are incredibly cute and sweet. Look at these pictures, I love it. I know some of these you may have heard before if you're not new to this channel, but did any of them surprise you? Let me know in the comments below, and you know the drill, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I'm out. Boop.